Hey everyone, welcome to another One Piece chapter discussion. Today I'll be covering chapter 940, The Spark of Rebellion. It's kind of funny because I read the chapter title, Spark of Rebellion, and it's sounding more like Star Wars every time I see this shit, but anyway. As usual, I'll be discussing points that I found interesting of the chapter. Let's get into it. Basically, we pick back up with the Nami and Usopp flashbacking about Law continuing his argument with Shinobu. And he's basically saying that the alliance might as well be over if there's no trust between us. Now, obviously, the alliance isn't going to be dissolved. This is basically Law being not happy with the fact that people are accusing his crew of betraying them. Anyway, if Law wants to end the alliance, we've seen in Dressrosa, Luffy's not going to have a bar of it, so it doesn't matter anyway. Obviously, this is, I think, foreshadowing the fact that Law is going to go over to the makeshift prison that we saw in last week's chapter, and he's going to break out the samurai and his crew, Beppo, Sachi, and Penguin. Maybe he could be intercepted by someone, I don't know, King, Jack, Drake, Hawkins, whoever, could intercept him and, stop him from doing that. And it would be quite interesting to see Law go up against someone like Jack, maybe. It's probably like an interesting matchup to see early on, like a bit of a scuffle there, just to see how Law could tangle with a Yonko commander. That would be interesting to see, I'm not going to lie. I'm sure the Law fans will be very happy to see something like that. As Nami and Usopp are talking, we actually hear that there's some sort of disturbance going on in Ebisu Town. And it appears that there are 3 new arrivals. This is what the old lady said that these arrivals have been relocated by Orochi's forces. Now, these guys apparently had some sort of scheme where one of them would be, burn down houses. The other one would provide the timber for rebuilding of these houses. And the other guy would provide funeral services and make caskets for those who might have, died in these fires. So, basically, these guys had this, illegal scheme. They were, bribing officials to look the other way while they, did this in the capital. And apparently that these were ones that were quite infatuated with Komurasaki. Now, it's actually, this was pointed out to me, was the fact that one of them, the priest, the casket maker, was also the same one who wanted to sell his family out. He wanted to spend that night with Komurasaki. So I think it kind of gives further credence to the fact that though Komurasaki had that, behavior where she was manipulating people, taking their money and, taking advantage of the poor saps who became infatuated with her. But it does seem, the fact that she does seem to target those who evil or are not good people. And, so it kind of seems like a bit of a Robin Hood situation, taking from the rich or take from those who are not good people and then distributing it back to whoever. She might be providing the poor or funding the Rebel Alliance, another Star Wars reference. So I do think this is further proof that Komurasaki or Hiyori isn't evil. She is legit. I think this is, because I know this was a big issue that people bring up, why would she do that? If she was a good person, why would she manipulate and take advantage of people? But again, it seems that the ones who get caught up in her web are pieces of shit anyway. I did think it was interesting that Oda gave a lot of screen time to this. We even learnt these guys' names, what was it? Bingo, Bongo, and Bungo. I did actually kind of question why Oda would give a lot of screen time or panel time to these guys, but again, I think it's, again, as I said before, further solidification for the fact that Komurasaki is not an evil person, but I did feel it went on a bit long. But anyway, this is when we go back inside into Tonyasu's house, where he's talking about, the Crescent Moon symbol, the Crescent Moon tattoo on people's ankles, and the final battle that's to come. Tonyasu kind of makes a funny joke here, where, you go to Orochi's forces and you say, oh, it was a prank, Kaido, it was a prank, Orochi. I kind of felt this was Oda maybe watching YouTube too much,
It's just a prank, bro.
This is where Tonyasu basically says he's going to take part in the final battle. We don't know in what capacity. This is when Tonyasu leaves, his house and he starts going out in town. And it's actually revealed that Toko, or Toko-chan, is actually his daughter, and she was actually sold off to the capital, and that she's been sending Tonyasu money. And this is where we see Tonyasu going around to the different citizens of Ebisu Town, those who cannot work, so the infirmed, the elderly, the sick, young children. And he's actually trying to help them, provide them with food or money or whatever they might need. And he's actually described as being, the saint of Ebisu Town. Now this is very interesting because there was a lot of time devoted to this. So this is where I'm guessing that clearly Tonyasu is either going to be a bad guy, he is going to be the traitor, could be setting up for that, which I doubt, because I think what it is trying to set up, and I think because there's so much time devoted to this, is that he's going to be Denjiro. That's my bet. Tonyasu will be Denjiro. He wants to participate in the final fight, he's helping the citizens of Wano, he's got a goofy design. I think this is Denjiro. I think a lot of people want Denjiro to have like this awesome Katakuri-esque design. I don't think so. I think this is going to be Denjiro. I think he's going to be goofy as well, and my guess in Komatsu might be goofy looking as well. So for those who are going to be disappointed about this, well, this is when we actually cut over to Udon Prison, and we see that Luffy is continuing his training with Grandpa Hyo to learn the advanced arm and haki technique, or the haki force blast palm technique, whatever you want to call it. Hyo is explaining to Luffy that, and this was actually interesting, that haki is called Ryo-yu. Oh, no idea how to pronounce that. And it's what it's called here in Wano. So you have their own unique name for haki. And it focuses on the concept of flow, whatever that means. But either way, we see that Luffy is trying very hard to perform this technique, but he's not being successful. We see Luffy, failing over and over and over again. And he's defeating the small users and any who oppose him, but he can't perform the technique, which I quite like. Like, I don't want Luffy just to, master this technique in a few hours. It has to take time. It has to, in my opinion, I'd say maybe a few days. 2-3 days maybe would be enough time to learn this technique I would be comfortable with, but we'll see what happens. It looks like it's taking at least a day. We fast forward in time and we see that everyone's basically left. They've gone off to sleep or gone off to eat and get drunk. And we see that Hyo is actually asking Luffy, why do you want to defeat Kaido? What's the big deal? Luffy says he can't talk in front of the guards, uses his Conqueror's Haki, knocks out the guards. I do love the fact that Luffy's using this technique a lot more willy-nilly at the moment. It's such a badass technique, and just seeing Luffy just smatter these guards and just knock them out like that is a joy to see. But this is when Luffy starts talking, and he's basically saying to Hyo what we've heard before. He wants to defeat the Four Yonko and become the Pirate King. Now this is interesting because Hyo says, like Roger. So this means that, Roger obviously was on the island, but he's met Hyo. I thought originally that maybe Roger had only, met Ode and maybe a few other guys. But this actually brings the question, how long did Roger stay in Wano? And how many people did he meet? How many people did he have influence on in the Wano country? So hopefully, when we get the Odin flashback, it will give us a real insight into what happened all those years ago with Roger being there. Will we actually learn more about Roger in this flashback? Will we learn more about Rayleigh, Copacabana, maybe some other crew members? It's interesting to see that we could potentially get more insight into the Roger Pirates. And it would kind of tie in with the fact that there is a movie featuring one of the Roger Pirates as one of the main villains, so it could be an interesting tie in there. So I'm curious about that. While they're discussing this, we actually see Luffy mention Kinemon. And, Hyo's like, oh, how do you know who that is? What's going on here? But to the side, and I didn't catch this when I first read this, you actually see Caribou slithering up, and in the next panel, you see Caribou full blast. I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Caribou's here? And you see Raizo in the stomach of Caribou. It was quite a hilarious panel. I actually quite enjoyed that. And we actually see that, Raizo and Hyo are kind of reminiscing about, oh my god, we haven't seen each other in like 20 years. You haven't changed. Holy crap. We see Luffy talking to Caribou. He's basically, I don't trust you, I don't like you, blah blah blah. And we see Caribou's basically begging Luffy, I've turned over a new leaf. Please don't hurt me, Master Luffy. I want to work with you. I want to help you get out of the prison, blah blah blah. Now, Luffy sees this. I don't know if he was using observation haki, because we've kind of seen Luffy seem to be able to, feel out the emotional, feel out the agenda of someone. Now, I don't trust Caribou. I think he's going to betray them. Luffy trusts him. He's basically said, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. Come with us. I can't trust Caribou. I think he is a slimy rat, and he's got a slimy devil fruit. I think he's going to betray them. I do not trust this man at all. Maybe he has turned a new leaf. We have the cover story where he somewhat kind of redeemed himself, if you want to say that. I don't really call it redemption. I think he's a piece of shit, but maybe he is. Maybe he is going to join with one of the Grand Fleet. Maybe he joins Law's crew. Who knows? Because there's no way in hell he's joining the fucking Straw Hats. Get that shit out of here right now. Oh, I'd hate that. Now, this is where we see Grandpa Hyo, and he's getting quite fired up. And he's also very excited at the fact that Raizo's here, Luffy's here. That means he knows Kinemon, Konjuro, Momonosuke's here. And he's basically saying in the name of the chapter, the Spark of Rebellion is still alive. And we need to continue this. We need to get this going. We need to take down Orochi and Kaido. And this is when Hyo talks about the fact that it's kind of fate that you guys are here, because all the prisoners who were locked up in Udon prison are basically former rebels to Orochi's regime, or Kaido's regime. Not all of them are like, robbers and murderers and that. And he's basically saying there's tens of thousands who are located in his prison. And there's even Yakuza bosses as well. Now, this again kind of ties into what I said earlier, how Hyo is going to probably be the uniting force who gets a lot of these guys to join the rebels' cause, join the Kazuki clan's cause. I think this is why this character is so vital. He will be the guy who kind of meshes everyone together, joins up with the guys in Ebisu Town and the Flower Capital, and basically the attack force that will attack Kaido and Orochi's forces. As I said earlier, I did mention these other Yakuza bosses, and we see like their silhouettes. Now, I did get some Shadow Beast vibes from Hunter from these guys. I don't know how strong they're going to be. I get the feeling they're going to be goofy and not very strong, but I am curious to see what they look like and how strong they are. But I don't know, I feel like these guys could get fodderized. It'd be funny, but Hyo, if he wants to talk to these guys, he's going to make a petition for everyone to say, hey, join these guys' cause, so we'll see how that goes. And he also makes mention of Kawamatsu's in that cell. Raizo says, yes, I know about that. And he basically says that he has to be the one who is released. He's the most important person in this prison. He must be released. Which I'm like, whoa, wow, what's going on? Why is Kawamatsu so important? Does he have knowledge? Or is he one of the strongest samurai in the country? I don't know. Again, he is locked up. I mean, Ashura Doji wasn't. A lot of the other samurai were allowed free, but he was locked up. What's going on with him? Again, I really hope we get a reveal of what he looks like and some more interesting information for him, because he is the most interesting samurai to me at the moment. Denjiro, Ashura Doji, Oden, not so much. It's Kawamatsu for me at the moment. I need to see what's going on with this guy. Funny enough, we actually cut back to the outskirts of the Udon prison, and guess who we see arriving? Big Mamu. She's on the way. She's hungry. She wants that Shiroko. She clearly is going to break everyone out. She's going to cause a rampage in this prison. I think we're setting up for the big escape. Luffy's finally going to get out. Hopefully, he'll still be training with Hyo and trying to master that technique. But again, I think Act 2 is quickly coming to an end, and we're going to be starting Act 3 very soon. I can see a bit of a time skip coming up, a few day time skip, so look out for that. Prediction there. Anyway, overall, I think this chapter deserves a 6 out of 10. It's an enjoyable chapter, to say the least. I don't have a lot of big issues there. Obviously, I think some things could have been trimmed, like the Tonyasu stuff and the Bingo Bungo crap could have been trimmed. There's a lot of panel time there, and I was like, whatever. But either way, enjoyable chapter. It didn't say there was a break next week, so hopefully there isn't. But as I said, Golden Week is around the corner, so maybe they don't bother saying they're on break, because everyone in Japan knows Golden Week's coming up. We will have a break, so I'm not too sure, but I would love to see Big Bum break Luffy out next week's chapter, so hopefully there isn't a break. Anyway, this is the Kingkiller signing out, and I'll see you next week. Maybe 2 weeks? Anyway, see ya.